Okay, finishing off with this example 3. So example 2 was an example of evaluating functions with an equation. This is an example of evaluating functions with a graph, which in most cases is a little bit easier than the equation. So we're still keeping in mind that big main fact that f of x is equal to y. Excuse me. So when part A is asking us to evaluate each of the following, these are all x values. They're giving us x values and asking for the y's. That's what's going on in this number 1 here, this part A. So f of 1 means that they're giving me x equals 1. That's what that means, right? Because f of x is equal to y. So they're asking me what y value corresponds with an x value of 1. So going to my graph, here is x equals 1. The graph itself is right there on my red point. And the y value that corresponds with that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So f of 1 is equal to 4. When x is 1, there's a y value of 4. F of 5. X is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. X is 5 right here at this blue line. And that blue line crosses the graph at this point right here, which I'll admit is a little off, but we can just guesstimate that to be right on the line there. So we'll say that's a y value of -2. When f is 0, when x is, sorry, not when f, when we have f of 0, when x is 0, that graph crosses right about here, putting that at a y value of 2. So there we have f of 1 is equal to 4, f of 5 is -2, and f of 0 is 2. Remember giving us those coordinate points, 0, 2, 5, -2, and 1, 4. So we just use the graph, mark that graph up. Now here in B, this is where it gets a little different because they're asking you to solve. Instead of giving you x, they're giving us y. You're given y and asked to find x, just like we were in part C here where we had to kind of solve for that x. So this time they're telling me y is equal to 0. What are the x values that make that true? So y equals 0 is across the y-axis, this purple line right here. So where does my graph touch that? Well, once right here, once right there, and once right there. So just like we can have equations that have multiple solutions, this equation is going to have multiple solutions. There's 3 different x values that make the y value be 0. And I'm just going to list all of them. So x is equal to, that would be -1. X is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. And x would also be equal to, that was 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. Count twice and don't lose any points instead of counting wrong. So these ones can have multiple answers. Can have multiple answers for these part B's here. So in this next one, we have f of x is equal to 2. So they're asking me where I have a y value that's equal to 2. Where is y equal to 2? So y being 2 would be up here, using my green line. And the values that touch that line are 1 right there and 1 right there. So this one only has 2 answers or 2 solutions to this one. So that has an x value of 0 and x equals 1, 2, 3. The most important thing when you're doing this is to just be paying attention to if they're asking you for an X or for a Y and what they're giving you. Last but not least here, part C, asking us what the largest output is. Remember, output is really just another word for a Y value. So they're asking me what's the largest or the highest Y value that graph gets to. And that would be right up here. Right? This is the largest or highest slash largest Y value, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, which is positive 4. So the largest output would be 4. All right.